Hey guys, it's Angie Atkinson, and today at queenbeing.com, I'm going to talk about how to get back your mojo after narcissistic abuse or during. Let's go. So, a lot of times you know that a toxic relationship can absolutely damage your self esteem, right? And when you get involved with a narcissist in one of these types of relationships, it's something that, first of all, is a lot more common than you think, okay? But that's, so obviously you're not alone. And I can honestly tell you for sure that it's more common than you think simply because of what I do and the people that come and speak to me about it, okay? But when you have to endure mental abuse from your partner, it's obviously going to have a tremendously negative effect on you, and it can last for your whole life, even after the abuse. And that's what I'm here to talk about. It's going to be tough to bounce back from that kind of mental abuse that you've had to endure. And obviously, your self esteem is going to just nosedive, right? And it doesn't seem like a big deal to a lot of people. Oh, big deal, you have low self esteem. Well, it literally can affect every single part of your life. Okay. So, the mental abuse that you were put through by your narcissist is usually it usually took the form or takes the form of an attack by your partner, by your narcissistic partner or parent or whatever. And the idea is that they want to make you feel worthless and insecure because that kind of bonds you to them even more than you would expect. All right. So what they do then is they gain control and they boost their ego, their own ego. Women, men, it doesn't matter. About just under half of all narcissists that we know about that are reported are women, and we're not, that's not counting the ones who aren't reported. Okay, and when I say a narcissist, I don't mean a person who looks in the mirror a lot or who takes a lot of selfies or who is self-confident. I mean a person who has no empathy for other people and who treats people like objects or possessions. Okay, a person who will break your heart just as fast as they can think of the words to say it, and then in the next breath they'll make you feel like you know like you're on top of the world. It's the narcissistic cycle, right? All right, so yeah. Anyway, and one more thing on that, about 25% of my viewers and readers are male, and it's about 15 to 20% of my clients are male. So, you know, this is a big deal for men as well. Okay. And men are being abused this way, women are being abused this way, and this is something that we've got to stop. But in the meantime, the best thing you can do is to live well. The best way that you can get through this is to be strong, to be happy regardless of what the narcissist is doing. And we'll get to that. All right. So remember this. The narcissist wants you to have low self-esteem so that you will not think for yourself. Okay. And so obviously getting out of that relationship is going to be the biggest and most important thing. It's going to be the first step that you have to take. But, in some cases, you can't go completely no contact, such as co parenting or certain family members or whatever. And in that case, you just go low contact, where you only deal with them as much as you have to deal with them. Okay. And this can even work up to a point within a household, but I don't recommend it. All right. I mean, there are different things you'll have to do at that point, like gray rock practice and things like that. But when you're not living with a person, you know, you can certainly work a lot faster on your own self esteem. Okay. So there are other things that you're going to obviously need to do to bounce back from the mental abuse. Okay. So, first of all, you're going to have to stay active. Secondly, you're going to want to get out and do stuff. Don't just like close yourself up in the house. But the abuser is going to love the idea of alienating you and keeping you out of the way of other people who love you or care about you because, God forbid someone give you a little validation or boost of self-esteem, maybe you'll realize that you're in the wrong situation and you'll run. And of course, the narcissist doesn't want that. You're a great source of supply for him or her. Okay. So it's so easy to want to isolate yourself at home when you've been through this type of abuse because, quite honestly, in addition to the self esteem issues, you also have the issue of just feeling overwhelmed by the world because you've been so mentally controlled and abused that you've put yourself in this place where, you know, you can't really handle what's happening around the world, in the world around you. So, what you want to do then is you want to keep your mind focused on other things, things that make you happy, so that you don't isolate yourself at home and become dependent on a narcissist or a negative person who's feeding into your self-esteem issues, who's actually, you know, decreasing your self-esteem, right? So you might want to call your friends, you might want to read, uplifting books. You can check those out mine at booksangiewrote.com, or just get anything from Kindle or Amazon.com that works for you. Read uplifting books. Concentrate on a project like redecorating your home, or like a room in your house, or like starting a new weight loss program, or getting a new exercise thing, or take a dance class. Just do something that makes you feel good, something you enjoy, and something that kind of requires your focus. Okay, so bottom line, just do whatever it takes to keep you going. All right. So if you have a job, which you should, or you might want to get one if you don't have one yet and you're trying to get out of a relationship like this, right? If you do, continue to work no matter what. And you got to make money, right? Take note of your goals and your achievements. And look, if you don't have a job, now is the time to look for one if you're trying to get out. Because, excuse me, working can get your mind off of your own problems and give you the necessary affirmation that you can do whatever you put your mind to. And of course, that you're not worthless. One of the things that has helped me tremendously in my own recovery is this work that I'm doing right now, working with you guys and helping you guys to get through this as well. Because what it does, to me, it feels really good to be able to help people understand, first, that they're not crazy, and second, that they're not alone, and third, that they really can make their life better. They really can choose to change it all and have a life that they really deserve. And that's why I'm here. So that it gives me validation every day. And my point is that you find something that makes you feel good, whether it's you're a nurse, or you're a CNA, or you're working at a restaurant. It doesn't matter. Find a way to feel good about what you're doing. And if that means I'm serving food to hungry people, that's freaking awesome. I love it when people serve, food to me when I'm starving, right? Or so you're a checker at Walmart, big deal, or a checkout, I don't know what that's, a cashier, that's a good thing, because what you can do is you can say something nice to every single person that comes through your line, and imagine the paying it forward, and imagine the chain of energy that you start when you do that. I can tell you, when I've gone to Walmart or any other store, I'm not just talking about Walmart, but when I go to a store and I get really great customer service, I feel really great about that. And it'll follow me through the day. And at the same time, if I go to a store and I get really bad customer service, I don't forget about that either. So, if you can just inject a little happiness into someone's day, or a little niceness in someone's day, you could change your own life in the process. It's pretty cool stuff, because whatever energy you're putting out there, that's what you're getting back. So if you're focusing on the things that suck in your life, you know what? More of those things are going to come to you. If you're focusing on the things that are good and that make you feel amazing, get ready, girl, boy, man, woman. It's going to get better. Okay. So, focus on what you want is what I'm trying to say. All right, next up. Avoid jumping into other relationships until you're fully healed emotionally. This is legit, okay? You're more likely to fall for people who are exactly like the narcissist, more narcissists, if you don't do that, because you don't want to get into that same situation again and repeat that cycle of abuse, okay? Because what happens, is basically it's just yet another person in your life who is, if you might as well, it's just kind of like a switcheroo. It's the same deal, different person. What I did when I got divorced, is, first of all, when I left, of course I left, and it took about 9 months for the divorce. So I decided to myself, you know what, I'm not going to date anyone until I'm legally divorced. And I knew I wasn't trying to rush through it. I waited probably 3 months before I even really filed, because I kind of thought that maybe it could be repaired. It was stupid, but I kind of thought that. And so I waited, and then I realized it was never going to change and things were going to be exactly how they were. So you know what I did? I filed for divorce, and I don't regret it at this point. So now this is where we are. Okay. I didn't regret it as soon as I did it. It took me, I was devastated when I left. I had 3 weeks where I could not even eat. And listen, if I can't eat, there's been twice in my life that I couldn't eat, and both of those times were related to horrible situations with narcissists, interestingly enough. Otherwise, I'm I'm like eating anyway because I might even eat more if I'm in a bad situation. But in these two situations, they were so dire to me that, yeah. But anyway, don't waste time thinking about your ex, whether it's negative or otherwise. Some people make the mistake of spending a lot of time with thoughts of how they hate their former partner, or their parent who's narcissistic and they've gone no contact with, or friend, or whatever, and how they wish they could get revenge. It's not healthy, y'all. It's not healthy. You got to release the anger and focus on what's important and what you can control, which is you. Okay, it's time to move forward with your life. I want to stop and say something right here. Something that I did when I was one particular situation involved a very toxic roommate, and the whole situation was messed up. I'm not even going to go into why, but I was very angry when I left that place, and I moved into a new place, and life was better. But I like lived with this cloud over my head of anger all the time, and I couldn't quite figure out why. And one day I was sitting there in my little tiny studio apartment that I was madly in love with because it was all mine. Um, and I just had this realization that, you know what, I had to forgive this person in order to move forward. And I thought, well, he doesn't deserve my forgiveness. He was horrible to me, and I don't want to forgive him. But then, like this little voice almost audibly whispered in my ear, you're never going to move forward if you don't forgive him. And so what I did was I sat down and I hand wrote a letter of epic proportions. I really thought when I was writing it that I was going to send it, but I didn't. I didn't need to. Once I wrote it, I was done. But I wrote down everything he did to me, and I wrote down why I didn't like those things and what I thought about him, and I said lots and lots of cuss words, and I did all of those things. And then I said at the end, you know what, I'm forgiving you, not for you, but for myself, because I need to be healthy and move forward, so on and so forth. And like I said, when I signed the letter, folded it up, was about ready to put it in an envelope, and I thought, I don't need to. He doesn't deserve to know. I'm the only one who needs to know because it was really not about him. It was about me and being able to move forward from that anger that was hurting me. So, so that's why I suggest that you try it. If you're in a position where you're still carrying around a lot of anger with your narcissist, go ahead and write him a letter or her a letter and tell them, you know, this is how I feel. You suck. These are the reasons that you suck. And don't hold any, don't pull punches. Cuss if you need to, scribble if you need to. I suggest writing it by hand if you're able to do that because it really does somehow feel more real somehow. I don't know. If not, type it. It doesn't matter. But I do suggest after you finish it, if you don't want to send it, which you can send it if you want, but why give them the satisfaction? You know what I'm saying? It's not going to actually help the narcissist. It may help him think or her think that they still have their claws in you. But in reality, it's really for you that you're doing that. All right? So release the anger, focus on what's important and what you can control. All right? And just move forward with your life. Okay? So don't be afraid to seek some professional help. I talked about this yesterday. You need to know that a professional sometimes is going to be able to help you work through your feelings and build your self esteem back up. So you don't want to let that toxic relationship break your spirit. You see what I mean? Okay. So, what it all comes down to, is that you've got to work on building, letting go of those things that are holding you back from having self-esteem and then building your self-esteem. So right now we're going to talk about how to build your confidence in yourself one day at a time. Okay. So obviously we all have goals and dreams we want for our lives, but without self-confidence, we're not going to get anywhere with those things. Self-confidence is the thing that pushes us over the top. I've talked before about the difference between healthy narcissism and unhealthy toxic narcissism. And, the fact is every human being has a certain amount of narcissism in them and it's healthy up to a point. Narcissism is the thing that actually causes us to want to keep ourselves alive in a way. Narcissism in a healthy way is simply self-interest. Okay. And we all have to have a certain amount of self-interest. But self-interest is different than not being interested in others. You see, you have to have a balance. So we'll get to that. All right. But regardless of all of that, building up confidence in yourself is obviously going to help you and give you the motivation that you need to achieve everything that you want in your life, including, in some cases, leaving a narcissist or building a new life for yourself, right? So I'm going to give you 3 exercises right now that you can try every day, and they will help you to gain the self-confidence that you need. All right? So, number one, you're going to want to start a journal. Okay, so a confidence boosting journal should contain positive thoughts for everything that you did that day, right? And, you know, a lot of people, I'm sure you do too, accomplish a lot of little things during the 24 hours that you're given each day. But most people don't really think of a lot of those things as accomplishments, which is silly if you think about it because you still did accomplish something. But if you write down everything in a journal that you did each day, whether you write it in list form or you write it in a narrative, you can see how those things will build up over the weeks, months, and years. You know what I'm saying? You're doing a lot more than you think. And like I said before, you might start with simple things. 5 ways you paid a random act of kindness to a stranger today, or 3 things you did that helped get your career back on track or get further down the road on it. Maybe it's something as simple as holding, open the door for an old lady or an old man. I don't know why I had to say old right there because I'm not getting any younger, y'all. Anyway, hold the door open for someone who needs your help is what I should have said. Reading a book about, you might want to read a book about saving for retirement or whatever. Just, do something to move forward instead of stagnate. As you look back on your entries of positive accomplishments, this can give you motivation to achieve even more in the future. So, okay, let's go to the next thing. This is like my favorite thing in the whole world, baby steps. Okay, you guys, I lost 100 pounds with baby steps. I went from living in a tiny track home to a pretty damn good sized, better home in baby steps. Well, I didn't take all those steps by myself with the home thing. I can't lie to you. My husband has helped with that one too. So, and this is obviously not my narcissist. This is my current husband. Anyway, baby steps. You can do everything with baby steps. Everything. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. All right. So instead of trying to do everything all at once, like, okay, I'm going on a diet, I'm changing my whole life, and tomorrow I'm not going to eat anything, and I'm going to exercise for 27 hours. Yeah, I said 27 hours. You know, whatever your thing is that you're doing, you can't expect it to all happen overnight. It doesn't work that way. That's not how life goes. Okay. So say in the case of losing 100 pounds, I'll use that as an example. Okay. When I lost 100 pounds, of course, I had a major goal of losing 100 pounds. Actually a little more, but anyway, we're not there yet. So I had a major goal of losing 100 pounds. Well, in order to do that, I had to go from, in increments. So I had, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever my little goals were. Break it down into tiny steps that you can meet each day. Okay. So one of the things I did also, like, my first step in losing 100 pounds was for the very first week, the only change that I made was I made sure that I drank 8 glasses of water a day. Sounds stupid, but it works. And then the second week, I was like, okay, I'm going to add another habit to this. And that habit's going to be I'm just going to write down every single thing I eat. I'm not going to worry about how much I'm eating or anything, but I'm going to write it down and I'm going to count calories and fat grams. This is how I'm going to do it. Did it? Worked. And it was interesting. By the third week, I was pretty much on track because even though I didn't require myself to stay within my appropriate limits to lose weight, I wanted to. It was a game then. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, and then when the whole Fitbit thing showed up, woo, life changed. Okay. Anyway, so you're going to want to break it down into tiny steps. Okay. Each time you get to cross off one of your little steps on your list of things that you can do, you gain more confidence in yourself. You're going to empower yourself to reach that next step until you finally achieve that big goal. Okay. So if your goal is to save money for a vacation, plan tiny steps like $5 or $2 or $1 in a savings jar each day. Hell, just take the change in your pocket at the end of the day and throw it in that jar. You would be shocked how fast you would have enough money. When I was a single mom, I did that. I never spent change. I started saving all my change. If I had to pay a penny, I'd spend $1 and I'd get 99 cents back. You know what I'm saying? And I would take that money at the end of the day and throw it in a jar, actually a coffee can. And that Christmas I went and I took the money. It was about two or 3 months, I guess. Took the change down to the grocery store and poured it in one of those machines where you can get your change turned into dollars. And I think I came out with about $400, and my kid had a great Christmas that year, and it was just a lifesaver for me. So, just a little tip. Anyway, you're going to feel good knowing you've done 7 things for yourself in one week rather than waiting until waiting until like $1,000 falls into your lap for an upcoming holiday, right? Or vacation or whatever. Something to think about, right? Okay. And the other thing is that, when you fail to achieve your goals, it's going to diminish your self-confidence, and so that's why setting tiny goals, small baby steps, that's going to help you to make your self-esteem grow, and that's going to help you be able to reach those bigger goals in the end anyway, right? All right, number 3. I am all about doing some affirmations, mantras, inspirational quotes, whatever works for you. This is so easy and so good for you. Okay. So you can just look on the internet if you want, or you can just go right to queenbeing.com, my website. And that's going to be packed with inspirational type stuff for you guys, especially those of you who have been or are in narcissistic abuse situations. If you've purchased, you can just buy a book with inspirational quotes on confidence or self esteem. Every single one of the books that I have at booksangiewrote.com will help you on some level with confidence and self-esteem. That's part of what I do here. So read, then each day, read one of the quotes or the affirmations and see if you can apply it to your life throughout the day. Maybe start it in the morning, have it with your coffee, or watch a video in the morning, whatever it is that works for you. If you don't want to read, watch a video. That's what we're here for. So anyway, and then if you feel really inspired to do something else with it, add it to your journal entry for that day. Because if today's inspirational quote or affirmation talks about greeting everyone you meet that day instead of avoiding eye contact, then just try it. At the end of the day, you can journal it as one more positive thing that you accomplished. Know what I'm saying? All right. So let's talk about self acceptance, and we're going to talk about what it is and how you're going to get it. Okay? We're going to go one step further with this today. All right? So, accepting yourself, as I said before, is the first step to building self esteem. It's not possible to feel positive about yourself if you can't even accept yourself. You feel me? So, you have to know that self acceptance is the level of happiness and satisfaction that you have with yourself. Okay, we defined it, right? Many mental health professionals will tell you that self acceptance is necessary before change can occur. I believe that's true. Okay. I personally did not make any real and lasting change in my life until I was like, okay, this is who I am. I'm okay with it. Right. And then eventually even learned to love it. Right. So if you're feeling stuck, obviously self acceptance is going to be the first thing you need to get through. So you have to first accept your flaws, and that will allow you to change them and create, if you can't change them, then you can learn to cope with them or learn to modify them to work for you. Okay. You're going to learn to accept yourself and enjoy the person that you are. And I'm going to give you a few tips to get you going on that, and then we're going to wrap this up for today. Okay. So number one, most of us have some weird parent stories to tell. Okay. And that's common because what happens is when you get involved with a narcissist 99% of the time, not 99, okay, maybe like 75% of the time, you've had some kind of weird trauma in your childhood. Not always, but sometimes. So you're going to have to let go of that now, okay? And I know that you can't just let go of it, but you have to move past it because the fact is some parents are better than others, and you're an adult now. And, it's not your fault. Overly critical parents don't really have bad children. It was not your fault. Those people were just lousy parents. And, if they were just beating you up mentally or hopefully not physically all the time, but, there's not very much to be gained by giving your parents a hard time at this point. So, forgive them like we talked about earlier and release yourself from your past. You might not even realize that a lot of your current issues are related to some kind of thing that happened to you or excuse me, I'm having hair in my face. You might not even realize that in some of your situations are such that you're not even aware that you dealt with it in childhood until you really think about it. I've seen that a lot. So, but even if you don't forgive them for yourself. Write them a letter, just like I told you about writing a letter earlier. All right, so stop judging yourself based on the parenting you got. It's a reflection on them, not you. All right. And another thing you can do, you know what? Volunteer. Okay. There's no easier way to convince yourself that you're worthy of self acceptance than to volunteer your time with someone who needs you. So you can prove to yourself how great of a person you are. There are countless opportunities that you can use to volunteer in your community. Okay. Next up, be proud of your strengths, okay? It's totally hard to accept yourself if you're constantly reminding yourself of everything that's wrong with you or your weaknesses. Make a long list that you can return to every day if you want. List every positive thing you can about yourself. Even the smallest positive thing is worthy of mention. You know what? You might decide, okay, I'm a good person. That's legit. You're a good person, aren't you? Come on. You know, maybe you can play the banjo, or maybe you know how to braid hair really well, or maybe, you're a loyal friend, or maybe, you know how to sew, or maybe you have great hair, or if you don't have great hair, you know how to make it look great. I don't know, I'm kind of good at that. But whatever it is, find the thing about yourself that's pretty cool and start to embrace it. Write it down, write it down, write it down. I'm all about it. writing it down. I'm telling you, I've written through my every single horrible thing in my life, and I've managed to survive partially because of that. All right, number 4. This is a big one, and I want you to listen close. Forgive yourself. All right? You are beating yourself up too much. I know it. We all do it. It's not your fault. So if you're harping on your past transgressions to yourself and to everyone else around you, if you're like, man, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I allowed that to happen, or whatever. It's time to chalk up your bad choices to experience and just move forward. Okay? Everyone does the best they can. There are always going to be moments when you're less capable than other moments, and you really can do better next time. Okay? Number 5, let go of goals that will never be reached. So what? You're 57 years old. Okay? Obviously, you're not going to become an astronaut at this point. It's over, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that you can't do something that makes you feel good or that is related to being an astronaut. You know what? Maybe you're going to write a blog about being an astronaut, or you're going to research it, or maybe you're going to, create videos, or you're going to go work at NASA doing something else and helping astronauts, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Maybe you can like start your own space camp or go work at it. There's something you can do. If you really feel passionate about being an astronaut, right? Then you figure out a way, that you can still embrace that passion without, being unreasonable with your current situation, right? It's difficult to accept yourself when the life you're living is very different from your original plans, okay? But there is a time that you have to let go of those and let the present moment be at that time and make plans that are actually plausible and then make you happy and excited. Okay, look, I'm going to be really straight up with you. My original plan for life as an adult was this. I was going to go and travel the world as a journalist. And I was going to write lots of good stories and have crazy, awesome interviews, and all this awesome stuff was going to happen. And then when I was all done with that, well, I was, in my mind, I was like, oh, me at 35 or 40, ha, I would be all done with all that. And then I would go and live in Maine on the beach, and I would have an office on the top floor of a beach house that looked right out onto the ocean and that had a balcony on which I could step out or not, and windows that opened out onto that, and where my desk would be right in front of it. Yeah, I thought about it a lot. And nah, I did not expect that I would ever be living in suburbia. I did not expect that my children would exist because I wasn't planning to have children. I didn't expect any of that stuff. I didn't even think I was going to get married. That was not my plan. But all that happened. And so what I've done instead is I've created a different career that still is similar enough. I mean, granted, I don't travel the world mostly, but I write every day, and I'm writing about something I care about, and I'm talking about something I care about, and I'm creating a community about something I care about to help people, and that just feels really great to me. So whatever it is that you wanted to do that you can't do, or if you can't do what you wanted to do, I don't think you're ever too old to do most things, but maybe to be an astronaut, I don't know. But my point is, if you really get to that place where you cannot decide, then you can find something that's connected or related to it, and you can still find a way to make it work in your life as it is today. So follow your passion is my point. Number 6, eliminate self-talk that is negative. So you can't accept yourself if you're constantly insulting yourself. It's just a simple fact. Give yourself a freaking chance, man, woman. Give yourself a fighting chance to reach that state of self-acceptance that you deserve to be in. Okay, speak to yourself in a way that you would a good friend, and just really be a friend to yourself. You feel me? All right, next up, be authentic. Be your real self. When you put on like a fake mask or a persona for the world, you're not really giving people the opportunity to accept you as you are. And how are you going to be able to accept yourself if you really can't be authentic with the people around you, right? When you're authentic, the love that you receive really feels more meaningful. It truly does. Okay. Living honestly can be incredibly scary, but it's really that kind of easy once you get going, and once you realize that you don't need to worry about what people think. As long as you're happy with what you're doing and it's legal and it's safe for you, just do it. Okay. Living honestly is scary, like I said. People will, though, admire you, and they will respect you if you have the strength and the courage to be authentic, and that is going to help you to feel stronger in yourself as well. Okay. Number 8, recognize your worth to the world. So fortunately, this is not something that you have to earn. You just are worth it. You're born worth it. All right. How much could you contribute to this world if you really applied yourself? The world needs you, my friend. And what could say more of your inherent value than the fact that the world needs you? Seriously. And I know I'm sounding dramatic, but please feel me on this. It's legit, okay? Number 9, we talked about this earlier. Forgive people. I'm not going to go through it all with you again, but the ability to forgive other people is proportional to your ability to forgive yourself. Okay, that's a big deal. You need to practice forgiving other people for the little things and then when you can for the big things. And you will find that your own self acceptance becomes so much easier to find. So, you know, some people say that self acceptance is just a fancy word for tolerating yourself, but it's so much more than that. I think self acceptance, yeah, self acceptance. But once you get to that place of acceptance, you have to move into a place of self love. And we'll get to that later this week. All right. Fact is that no one's perfect. So you have to think about it this way. You accept your friends, your family, your children, even though they all have some kind of flaws and in their own special ways, right? You have to give yourself the same space to grow. You have to focus on what's good about yourself and forgive yourself and for everything, for your flaws, for your mistakes. First of all, most of your flaws might not even be your fault, but if they are, still accept them, embrace them, and do what you can with them. Accept yourself as you are right now in this moment. Okay? It's the most important thing you can do if you ever want to make positive change in your life. Accept yourself and learn to begin to love yourself. Okay? All right, now it's your turn. Have you struggled with self esteem or self image during or after narcissistic abuse? How did you manage? What would you tell a friend who was in the same situation? I want you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below and let's talk about it. Okay? Just fill me in. And if you're still struggling with your self esteem right now, tell me what your biggest struggle areas are. And maybe I can produce more videos on that this week to address those specific pain points for you. Okay? All right. Before I wrap up today, don't forget, visit queenbeing.com if you need help with anything to do with narcissism, narcissistic abuse recovery, self esteem, all of that stuff. Free. Everything you can find there will be free. There's lots of downloads and just articles and videos and everything. Also, narcissismsupportcoach.com. In case you want to schedule one-on-one coaching with me, or if you would like to just pick up my free 5-day email course that's on the front page there. And then bookcngwrote.com just goes right to my Amazon page. You can pick up all of my Kindle books for less than $4.99. All right. All right. That's all I've got for y'all today. I will see you later and have a wonderful week. Thanks.